Hello, today I'm going to give you a little comparison of two instruments that I made. One is a few months old. It's called the Launchpad guitar here. And it's an instrument that I made which is tuned like a guitar. So each row is in essence a string. When I press the leftmost, it plays the open string. So this would be E, and then you also have your high E there. And the idea is that you could look at guitar chord tablature and play that, but you have to kind of make a mental note that this is 0 and shift everything else. So for example, a G would be 3, 2, open, 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 3. Oops, I messed up there because I didn't offset it. So that's one of the ideas behind this is that you can play guitar-like instruments, and the tuning is like guitar. You can read guitar music. You can even play with guitar learning software. I use Rocksmith, which we'll get into in a bit, with this instrument, and that was quite a lot of fun. Then finally, I used Launchpad Pro, which is the beefier version of the Launchpad, and has a few key features that make it really fun to play with, particularly with guitar songs. So you'll notice here, you get this kind of throbbing here. The original Launchpad has two LEDs, green and red, and it does duller colors by flickering, where the brighter colors, like here, are just sends more oomph to the light, turns it on all the way, or keeps it on constantly, basically. And with a combination of two colors, there's theoretically 16 colors, including black, but in practice, you really can only get about 6 that are distinct from each other, and I had to work hard to figure those out. So what I did was make a tuning where I could tell when each string began, so that it was easy to transpose notes. So for example, if I'm making a chord, I would see, oh, this is the same as this. And then I might continue transposing to make a full chord in a guitar fashion. And it also helps if you're playing further up the neck. You'll notice this has 8 pads and 1. I've made this also a note. So once you get above the 9th fret, which is very common in music, you start to have problems because you have to shift sometimes 2-3 strings up. So I made it the color coding to help me, in part, playing guitar-like tunes on this pad. So it's not velocity sensitive. It always plays the same volume. And most software instruments, like the one I've got this hooked up to, interpret that in different ways. Like they might play with more of a twang when you hit with full velocity, which would be the case if you were picking notes on the guitar, and they won't play subtler and softer notes because you can't play any other velocity. So the Novation, you'll notice a lot of things. First of all, more buttons. It has another row of controls here on the left. Has another row of controls on the bottom. I'm not going to use these for this instrument. You'll also notice that it has a lot more colors. So you can see that it actually has blues. It has 3 LEDs per pad, which means, first of all, it's noticeably brighter. Second of all, you have a fuller range of colors. So since you're ultimately controlling these by sending MIDI notes to them, MIDI notes, it's only possible to send 128 values, so you could only have 128 colors only. But you're able to design a wider range of interfaces because you have true blues, for example, much better oranges, solid greens, and the effect is much tighter. So it's also velocity sensitive. You can hear the difference as I play things. And one of the things I did differently with this is, since I had this row here, I made those the open string. So now I can tell open string looks different. So for example, that note I just played was 3-2, and I just literally go to 3-2, open, 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 3, and that's a G. Or if I had to do a 5-string chord, for example, and I wanted open, 1, open, 2, 3 for a C. I could play this over here, but here I have kind of a visual aid for which strings are open. And in most tablature notation, what's really convenient is the open string is represented as a 0. So it worked out pretty well. So I didn't bother to continue the shifting scheme. So this is, that's the same note. But I didn't bother to make this look yellow because I wanted this to be easier to play with Rocksmith, and these are, not coincidentally, the colors that Rocksmith uses. So the idea is that I still will have to do some mental math to shift past the, you see we now have open, 1, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th fret, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th fret. So now instead of open and 8 frets, I have open and 9 frets. But I'm still going to have to do some math to get, 12th fret is very common. But that's still more manageable, I think. So I'm looking forward to playing with this later. I'm going to try it out with Rocksmith a little later. And in the meantime, I've been just trying chords with it to hear how it sounds. So I've got it hooked up to a sound font that's steel guitar. And you can hear it's not at all bad. So let's try it with the velocity here. It's still pretty good, but I find this a little more rich in that the velocity actually counts, and you have to actually make sure to hit hard enough. Anyway, so I'm having fun with it, and I look forward to showing you more of what it can do once I add some more tunings and features to the Pro version, for example, bass tunings, perhaps mandolin tunings, things like that. So I'm having fun with it, and I hope you enjoyed watching the video and hearing a little about it.